On episode 163 of He Said, She Said movie reviews, we take a look at the Apple TV movie, The Banker. Welcome to He Said, She Said movie reviews. This is the podcast where a happily married couple with similar but different movie taste take a quick, spoiler-free look at the movies, helping you make the right decision before your next movie. I'm your host, Tim.
And I'm April.
So we just watched The Banker. I give this movie 3.5 stars. How about you, April?
I'm going to do the same. I really am leaning towards a 4 just because it was absolutely so well done.
This is the story it takes place in the 1960s about two African-American entrepreneurs who hire a working-class white man to pretend to be the head of their business empire while they pose as a janitor and a chauffeur.
The director was George Nolfi. He's known for Birth of a Dragon and the TV show Allegiance. The writers were him again and Niceole Levy. This is her first movie credit. As far as her TV writing, it's Allegiance, Shades of Blue, and I believe The Mysteries of Laura.
This had a great cast of Anthony Mackie. Everybody knows him from the Marvel Universe. Samuel L. Jackson, Nicholas Hoult, Nia Long, Scott Johnson, Jessie T. Usher, and Colm Meaney.
The runtime was 120 minutes. It was rated PG-13 on appeal for some strong language, including a sexual reference and racial slurs, and there was smoking throughout.
Okay. I just got to say right off the bat, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It was very entertaining and very eye-opening to a lot of things. And I'll be honest with you right up front. If I knew that George Nolfi had directed and wrote this movie, I probably wouldn't have watched this because he butchered two of my most favorite books into movies as a writer. Both Timeline was one of my favorite books by Michael Crichton, and the Bourne books, because he wrote, the Timeline, he wrote Ocean's 12.
Oh, that's right.
And Bourne Ultimatum and The Sentinel. I mean, he's butchered some really good books into movie scripts. But I got to say, he did a really good job with this movie.
This was phenomenal. Not just the cast, the acting, the production sets. I mean, we're about to talk about it. But first of all, I just want to say, I didn't know that the Fair Housing Act wasn't put into, it wasn't effective until like 1968.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. I think this movie is also very, very timely right now with everything that's going on in this country, in the U.S. with George Floyd and Black Lives Matters. So I think everybody, if you have Apple TV, you should watch this. Well, if you don't have Apple TV,
you need to get it.
You really need to get Apple TV. Yeah. There's so much good quality stuff on Apple TV right now.
We're so big on Apple.
So this movie had a theme, of course, about racism and greed.
Right. But there's also a theme about following your heart, hustling your fanny off, and never, ever stopping for what you want. So
it was very well acted. I mean, of course, I'm a huge Samuel L. Jackson fan.
And I just want to do a shout out, Nia Long. Tim knows I've loved her for years. It was good to see her back. And I really thought that Anthony Mackie did a phenomenal job. I loved the friendship of the men, how they started off not liking each other. It was really profound, not just the friendship and the success of what these two gentlemen did together, but they're part of it that's hard to watch because it's real, and that this movie should be seen by everybody.
Like I was saying, I could watch Samuel L. Jackson in anything.
I love him.
One of my favorite things ever that he's ever done is Google this sometime if you get a chance. His explanation of Game of Thrones. It's hilariously funny. It's not suitable for work or young children, but it is hilarious. So.
Yeah, his range. I think back to Shaft. How much I loved it. He's awesome.
The direction was good in this. I think George Nolfi did a great job with the direction. Score wasn't really noticeable in this movie.
It was great. I thought that it went hand in hand. I thought it was beautifully done, but also the production design, it just really felt like the 60s.
Yeah, they did a really good job of turning downtown Los Angeles, modern Los Angeles, into, the 60s Los Angeles. I really enjoyed this. I also got to, Colm Meaney, I've always loved him since the Star Trek Next Generation reboot. He was in it briefly, and he did a really good job. I really enjoyed his character in this. The special effects, was really nothing to speak of as far as special effects in this. And the pace, I thought, it was a 2-hour-long movie,
Yes.
and it moved along fairly quickly.
And I think it's because it covered several relationships, which I enjoyed. It covered a timeline, but also it wasn't just a movie about two people. It was about a lot of people.
One of the things that we kind of really didn't talk about, and it's not a spoiler, but I thought Nia Long, her character as his wife, as Anthony Mackie's wife in this, and her strength in being behind it. I really enjoyed her character and the way it was portrayed. And this is, by the way, based off of a true story. Of course, there's some Hollywood isms to it and stuff. They've changed it, but it is based off of true story.
Right. I thought the editing was fine. And again, you mentioned it. I think the pace went very well. It's because we believed in the characters. It's because the acting was, A-level. Everything. I thought the dialogue was hilarious. There were several times we laughed. I mean, you're going to get a little bit of dry. There's a little bit of dry.
Well, yes, but going back to the dialogue too, though, with this, you have two very different type of characters. You had the Bernard character, who was the thinker, the businessman, and you have Samuel L. Jackson, who was a guy who was a nightclub owner in Los Angeles and everything, and he's just a completely different character.
Yeah.
The way these two guys meshed in the dialogue between them sometimes.
They were good for each other.
They each had something to teach the other. So I thought that was really, really cool too.
This movie was, in my opinion, magical. We found out about it, we turned it on, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. We learned, we felt things. It was just really good. Our daughter also enjoyed it. To 20-something, and that's when you get their stamp of approval, that's often great as well. Please do yourselves a favor and really stream this movie. It's great. Yeah,
watch The Bank on Apple TV. Once again, we both give this 3.5 stars. April might have even given it a 4 if I didn't influence her, I guess.
I'm going to do a 3.5 for The Banker, but know that it almost made 4. It was really magical.
Well, there you go. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to our podcast. And if you get a chance, please tell a friend about it.
All right. We will talk real soon, and we appreciate your support. We'll see you on the couch.
See you on the couch.